This is the first night that I'm working with Avatar Rasputina, and I went ahead and did some prep in order to save time, because I was planning on magnetizing this guy anyway, like I said. But in order to save time, I actually came home from work around 4:30. The sun was going down, so I went ahead and primed the model before I assembled it. That's not typically the way that you do it. So what I did was I sanded, cleaned the model off, and then I used Fun Tack to suspend the pieces up while I primed them all piece by piece. But I wanted to stop here real quick and just show you guys some of the magnetizing that I did, because it's sort of out of one section of magnetizing is out of necessity, and the other reason for magnetizing was a matter of personal preference. So I've got the Snowstorm right now, the Avatar Rasputina on another magnetic base right now. I'm planning on doing 2 bases so that I've got a flat travel friendly base and I can travel around with. And you can also stick this guy onto the more scenic base. So you can see that ends up being a really tall model once you put it all together. So that's one magnet. Source of magnets. The other magnets are actually here at the head. Like I said, I couldn't decide on what head I wanted to use, so let me show you a little bit of what I did with the head. This was a really tricky magnet job. So when you're magnetizing, you really got to find the right angle and make sure your pieces are going to fit after the magnets are in. For the magnets, you can use, I use rare earth magnets, which are fine. Size of magnets is very important, though. So you can see here I'm using these size magnets for the base. These are fairly larger magnets that I would use for magnetizing miniatures. But let me swap heads real quick. And while I'm doing this, I wanted to show you on this model, so I've got the magnets flush underneath here. One thing to be careful of when you're working with this model is there's a weak point here, these little joints here at the knees, and if you go too fast on your drill, you could end up torquing the model the wrong way and you could rip those off. And so anyway, here's the head. Pop the head off for you guys, and let's go to macro mode so I can show you what this actually looks like. So in this little groove here, you've got, desk is a little bit of a mess right now from all the magnetizing. Even have some magnets just kind of floating around here. But here in the head, it's kind of a grooved situation, and the pieces originally had like grooves in the back, and they slide in. You slide the head in here and glue it in. But if you look back in here, deep set inside, I've got a very tiny magnet. And that magnet corresponds to the magnet that's on the back of the heads. So what I did was I clipped some of that groove off, and what you do is when you want to stick that head on, you just pop the head in the channel there and stick it on like that. So wasn't sure if I was going to do that head or the other head, so I've got the very small magnet in there, the back of the head also, and alternately you can pop that head in if you want. Not the best joint. And when you magnetize things like this, you do sacrifice a little bit of looks. As you can see, there's a slight gap there, which unfortunately you can't fill if you're going to magnetize, because that could interfere with magnetizing the rest of the model. So anyways, this model is magnetized. It's ready to be painted. When I paint it, I'm going to paint the Rasputina part in first. Then I'm going to come out to the ice and do the rest of the body. I will paint one head at a time, so I'll paint one head, swap it out and put the other head on. Final comment about magnets, if you will, is one thing I do is when I'm aligning my magnets, my north and south facings of the magnets, I make sure that, for example, this base is also compatible with the other magnetized models I have. So I can actually stick things like, I could stick a Corfi Duet on here, or I could stick my Mechanical Rider, or even like the Guardian. Any piece that I've magnetized to a base is interchangeable with another one. So, you know, if I run out of space and I'm traveling, I can actually just take the smaller bases or the flatter bases and use those to keep my models in place. So while I'm painting, I'm actually going to stick this model to the flat base, paint it on the flat base, and then go from there. So anyways, this is running a little bit longer than I wanted it to, so I'm going to stop here and do some painting. Thanks. Here's the completed Avatar Rasputina. Didn't actually take me very long at all to paint, and I don't even feel like I was rushing much. Once I did, like I said, the parts that I like, the skin and the face, the rest of it was really simple. Just some P3 blue ink as the shadow and some light blue mixed up with white and layered up about, I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 8 different layers, but it really wasn't a whole lot. So I've got them on the scenic base here, very tall miniature like I said, which is why I've cut this kind of ho-hum, boring piece here. So I can pick up the model, stick it on the base here, then I can do that. The other thing I can do, since I have this guy magnetized, is I can do a head swap. So I don't really, there's no functional reason why I did that, because the heads don't really add a whole lot to the height of the model. The functional thing was really just having a flat base and a scenic base, but no real reason behind having to... Oh, gotta be careful here when you do this, by the way, because of those skinny little joints there beneath the knees. But no real preference, honestly, for the head. So I'm probably, you know, I'll play one game like this, and then I'll swap heads and play another game the other way. One other thing I did, and I don't think the video camera will catch this up, is I actually layered out the snow here, and then I used some Ard Coat gloss varnish to varnish up the snow, kind of give it a wet appearance. Was half tempted to do the ice golem body there, but you know, I got a little worried about muddling up my detail a little too much for the sake of a shiny miniature, and frankly, I don't really like shiny miniatures. It's one of the reasons why I didn't buy the ice golem, the regular ice golem to begin with. That said, you know, painting ice is pretty boring, but the effect of it is really nice. It's really just layering and then highlighting up those hard edges, but the result is really cool. I mean, it's a very striking miniature, even though there's not much to it. So that's it for Avatar Rasputina. Can't wait to break her out on the field. Have been playing a lot of Avatar Ramos, and we'll start talking about how to play Ramos, because certainly I want to know. I'm still wrapping my head around a lot of the things about Ramos, but having an absolute blast. So anyway, I'm going to cut this off here. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.